Roman Reigns' brutal return attack on Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Roman Reigns just made a statement that's going to change everything in WWE, and if you're not talking about this, you're already behind. The Tribal Chief didn't just return, he came back with a level of violence and aggression that we haven't seen from him in years. Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker both felt the wrath, and the way WWE booked this has people absolutely divided right now. Some are calling it genius. Others are saying WWE just made a massive mistake. And I'm about to break down exactly why this moment is way more important than you think. Drop a comment right now telling me, did Roman go too far, or is this exactly what WWE needed? Because what happened isn't just about one attack, it's about the entire direction of WWE's main event scene for the next year, and not everyone is going to like where this is headed. Let's set the stage. Roman Reigns has been absent from WWE television for weeks. The speculation has been insane. Is he hurt? Is he taking time off? Is he negotiating a new contract? Nobody had concrete answers, and WWE did what they do best, they let the mystery build. Meanwhile, Bronson Reed has been on an absolute tear, destroying everyone in his path. The tsunami splash through announce tables, the dominance, the monster push. Reed was finally getting the spotlight he deserved. And Braun Breaker? He's been positioned as the future of WWE, the next generation powerhouse with the legendary bloodline. These two were on collision courses with the main event scene. Then Roman returns. And he doesn't come back for a promo. He doesn't come back to shake hands and talk about his legacy. He comes back to absolutely demolish both of them in a way that felt personal, brutal, and honestly kind of shocking for modern WWE. This wasn't PG violence. This was Roman Reigns sending a message that nobody, and I mean nobody, is safe from the Tribal Chief. Here's where it gets controversial, and this is what has the wrestling community in an uproar. WWE just spent months building up Bronson Reed as an unstoppable monster. They had him look dominant against top guys. They gave him meaningful wins. They made fans believe that Reed was finally going to break through to that next level. And then Roman comes back and wipes him out like he's nothing. Same with Braun Breaker. This is a guy that WWE has protected incredibly well, someone they clearly see as a future world champion. But Roman laid him out just as easily. So the question everyone's asking is, why? Why would WWE sacrifice the momentum of two rising stars just to make Roman look strong again? And this is where it gets complicated, because there are two very different ways to look at this situation. The first perspective, and this is what WWE wants you to think, is that Roman Reigns is the guy. He's the biggest star WWE has produced in years. His Tribal Chief run was one of the most successful championship reigns in company history. The numbers don't lie. When Roman is on top, business is good. Pay-per-view buys go up. Television ratings improve. Merchandise flies off the shelves. So from WWE's perspective, having Roman come back and reassert his dominance makes perfect business sense. You need your top star to look like a top star, especially when you're heading into WrestleMania season. WWE's logic is probably something like this: Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker are talented, but they're not Roman Reigns. They're not at that level yet. Having Roman destroy them doesn't hurt Reed or Breaker in the long run, it just reminds everyone that Roman operates on a different plane of existence. He's the final boss. He's the standard that everyone else has to reach. And honestly, there's some merit to that argument. Austin beat everyone. The Rock beat everyone. John Cena beat everyone. That's what top guys do. But here's the other perspective, and this is where the anger comes in. WWE has a terrible habit of feeding their young talent to established stars, and it rarely benefits anyone except the established star. We've seen this play out dozens of times. A new wrestler gets hot. Fans start to believe in them. WWE puts them in a program with a legend or a top star. The legend wins. And suddenly that rising star's momentum is gone. They never quite recover that feeling of being special. That's what people are afraid is happening here with Reed and Breaker. Bronson Reed's push has been one of the most exciting things happening in WWE over the past few months. Finally WWE was doing something interesting with him. He was getting over. Fans were invested. The big man who can move like a cruiserweight was capturing people's imagination. And in one night, Roman made him look like just another guy. That's not building for the future. That's sacrificing the future for the present. Same with Braun Breaker. This is Rick Steiner's son. This is a genetic freak with legitimate star potential. WWE has been careful with him, and rightfully so. But putting him in a position where Roman Reigns, who's already established as the top guy, just runs through him? What does that accomplish besides making Roman look good? Braun doesn't gain anything from being destroyed. He doesn't look tough for surviving. He just looks like he wasn't ready for that level, which is the opposite message WWE should be sending about someone they're clearly trying to build as a future main eventer. Here's what really frustrates people about this booking: Roman Reigns doesn't need this. His legacy is already cemented. His position at the top of the card is secure. He could have returned and gotten just as big of a pop by cutting a promo or having a stare down with Cody Rhodes or setting up a match with The Rock. He didn't need to destroy two rising stars to remind people he's the tribal chief. We already know. We've known for 4 years. But Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker? They needed protection. They needed WWE to continue investing in their pushes. They needed to be treated like legitimate threats, not like stepping stones for Roman's comeback tour. And that's the fundamental problem with this booking decision. It prioritizes short-term storytelling over long-term roster building. Let's talk about what this attack actually looked like, because the brutality of it is part of the conversation. Roman didn't just hit his finisher and walk away. This was systematic destruction. Multiple Superman punches, spears through barricades, using the steel steps. This was Roman working with a level of aggression that we haven't seen from him since his Shield days. And while it made for compelling television in the moment, it also raised questions about how Reed and Breaker come back from this. In wrestling, perception is everything. Once you're made to look weak, it's incredibly hard to rebuild that aura of invincibility. Bronson Reed's whole character is built on being an unstoppable force. But if Roman can stop him that easily, what does that say about Reed's place in the hierarchy? How is Reed supposed to be a credible threat to anyone else when the top guy just demolished him without breaking a sweat? Braun Breaker has the same problem. His character is intensity, power, and the promise of greatness. But when he gets taken out by Roman in what looked like a pretty one-sided beatdown, it damages that perception. Fans start to see him as a level below the main eventers, even if that's not the intention. And in WWE's system, once you're perceived as being on a certain level, it's very difficult to climb higher. Now, WWE defenders will say that this can all be fixed with good follow-up booking. And technically, they're right. If WWE uses this attack as fuel for Reed and Breaker to come back stronger, if they let them have their revenge in meaningful ways, if this is just the beginning of a longer story, then maybe it works out. But WWE's track record with follow-through is questionable at best. How many times have we seen promising storylines get dropped? How many times have rising stars gotten fed to established names and never recovered? The pattern is clear. WWE builds someone up, uses them to make a bigger star look good, and then moves on to the next thing without properly rehabilitating the person who took the loss. It happened to Rusev. It happened to Baron Corbin. It happened to Braun Strowman multiple times. The list goes on and on. So when fans see Reed and Breaker getting destroyed by Roman, they're not just reacting to what happened in that moment, they're reacting to years of WWE repeating the same mistakes. Here's another angle that's worth discussing. What does this say about WWE's confidence in their current roster? If Roman has to come back and immediately destroy two of your most pushed younger stars, doesn't that suggest that WWE doesn't actually believe Reed or Breaker are ready to be on Roman's level? And if they're not ready now, after months of strong booking, when will they be ready? Are we just going to keep waiting for the right time while WWE continues to rely on the same few established stars? The frustration in the wrestling community right now is palpable. People are tired of seeing the same playbook. They're tired of watching younger talent get sacrificed for short-term pops. They're tired of WWE playing it safe instead of taking risks on new stars. And this Roman return, as exciting as it was in the moment, represents everything people are frustrated about. But let's also be fair and look at the potential upside here. If WWE actually has a plan, this could lead to something interesting. Maybe Reed and Breaker team up to take down Roman. Maybe this leads to a multi-man feud where both of them get showcase opportunities. Maybe WWE is setting up Roman as such an overwhelming force that whoever finally beats him gets an absolutely massive rub. These are all possibilities, and we shouldn't completely dismiss them. The problem is that WWE has burned through so much goodwill with bad booking decisions that fans are skeptical by default. We've been burned too many times. We've seen too many promising angles lead nowhere. So when something like this happens, the immediate reaction isn't "I wonder where this is going," it's "here we go again." What's particularly frustrating is that WWE had other options. They could have had Roman return and immediately go after Cody Rhodes. They could have set up a confrontation with The Rock. They could have had Roman cut a promo establishing his return without physically destroying rising stars. There were so many ways to bring Roman back strong without potentially damaging Reed and Breaker's momentum. But WWE chose the most aggressive option, and now they have to deal with the consequences. One thing that can't be denied is that this got people talking. Social media exploded. Wrestling forums are on fire with debate. People are arguing about whether this was genius or stupid. And in some ways, that's exactly what WWE wants. Controversy creates conversation. Conversation creates engagement. Engagement leads to viewers. It's the same formula that's worked in wrestling for decades. But there's a difference between good heat and bad heat. Good heat makes people want to tune in next week to see what happens. Bad heat makes people frustrated and eventually turns them off the product. The question is, which kind of heat did WWE create here? Are people going to tune in to see how Reed and Breakker respond, or are they going to tune out because they're tired of seeing the same old patterns? Here's what needs to happen next if WWE wants this to work. First, give Reed and Breakker strong responses immediately. Don't wait weeks to follow up. Have them cut promos about how this wasn't the end, it was just the beginning. Show them training harder, getting more intense, preparing for war. Make it clear that they're not going to take this lying down. Second, give them opportunities to look strong against other top talent. They need wins to rebuild momentum. They need moments where fans remember why they were excited about these guys in the first place. If WWE just moves on and pretends this attack didn't happen, or if Reed and Breakker just disappear into the mid-card, this whole thing will have been a waste. Third, eventually give them their revenge. Maybe they don't beat Roman clean, that's fine, but they need to get some measure of satisfaction. They need to show that they can hang with the tribal chief, even if they're not quite ready to dethrone him yet. The story can't just be Roman came back and destroyed them, the end. There has to be more to it. The bigger picture here is about WWE's philosophy on star creation. Do they want to build new stars, or do they want to keep relying on the same established names? Roman Reigns is incredible. Nobody's denying that. But he's not going to wrestle forever. Eventually, WWE needs people to fill those main event spots. Reed and Breakker could be those people, but only if WWE actually commits to making them stars instead of using them as props for the current stars. This moment, this attack, this booking decision, it's all a test. It's a test of whether WWE has learned from past mistakes. It's a test of whether they're serious about building for the future. It's a test of whether they can balance making their top stars look strong while also elevating the next generation. And right now, based on what we've seen, it's not clear if they're going to pass that test. The wrestling business has always been about creating new stars. The territories did it. WCW did it. Even WWE used to do it better than they do now. You can't run a successful company by only featuring the same few people at the top. You need fresh faces, fresh matchups, fresh stories. And every time WWE sacrifices a rising star to make an established star look good, they're choosing the short term over the long term. So here's my take: Roman Reigns' return was executed perfectly from a spectacle standpoint. The violence was shocking. The intensity was real. The moment felt important. But the decision to have him destroy Reed and Breakker was a mistake unless WWE has an absolutely killer follow-up plan. And based on their history, I'm not confident they do. I want to be wrong. I want WWE to prove me wrong. I want them to use this as the catalyst for something amazing. But I've been watching wrestling long enough to know that what usually happens is the opposite. The rising stars get fed to the established star, they lose momentum, and we all wonder what could have been. This is your chance to sound off. Tell me in the comments, am I overreacting, or is WWE making the same old mistakes? Do you think Reed and Breakker will recover from this, or did Roman just kill their pushes? Are you excited about where this storyline is going, or are you frustrated with WWE's booking decisions? Let's have a real conversation about this because it matters. Hit that like button if you want to see Reed and Breakker get their revenge. Subscribe if you want more honest WWE analysis. And share this video with anyone who needs to understand why this moment is so controversial. Because whether you loved it or hated it, Roman Reigns' return just changed everything, and we need to talk about what it means for the future of WWE.